What's up, Integrity fam? You are watching Hacker Heroes episode number 7 right now. And for lucky number 7, we do have Stefan Rose with us today, also known as Siusak. So let's hear what Stefan has to tell us today. Hey Stefan, nice to have you on the show today with us. How you doing?
Hey man, great to see you. Thanks for having me. I'm doing really good.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Tell me and the audience a little bit about yourself. Who's Stefan Rose?
Most of you probably know me on my other name, Siusak. I'm a blogger currently, blogger and content creator on YouTube. I'm creating a lot of tech tutorials, instructionals, guides around Linux, hacking, firewalls, sometimes bug bounties, also productivity and stuff like this. So currently I'm a full-time content creator basically, and I'm doing a bunch of things. I'm doing a little bit of cryptocurrency on the side, meaning I have a cryptocurrency blog as well. And yeah, I'm also a yoga teacher on the side to keep things a little bit balanced. And I think that summarizes it, what I'm currently doing.
That's a lot of stuff that you're doing over there.
That's a lot of stuff, too much stuff.
Probably, yeah. Can you tell us a little bit how you got into IT security?
Yes. So I always had an interest in hacking, basically since I watched the movie Hackers when I was a kid. I think Hackers and War games. I didn't really get into it until later. I'm not sure what exactly triggered it. Probably I was watching Hackers because I watched this movie several times a year throughout my whole youth and teenage years. And at some point I thought, maybe I search for something that maybe I can try hacking myself. And at the time, it was really popular to hack Wi-Fi because it was WPA and it was very easily hackable at the time. And I just wanted to, I think that was the trigger. I wanted to test my own network's security. And I started, I think, with Backtrack 2. So I figured out what kind of distribution do you actually use for hacking and stuff like this, because back in the day when I started, there was nothing on Windows that you could run. Virtual machines were not even a thing yet, I think. So I think that really got me started 15 years ago or so. And after installing Backtrack for what seems to be like a week, it took me like a week to get it running and booting. And and then I just kept going and learned about different topics and stuff like this. But in the beginning, it was really just I wanted to mess around with Wi-Fi because it was so much fun to hack Wi-Fi keys and get Wi-Fi passwords and stuff like this. So I think this is what really got me started with that.
Got it. Yeah, that's a nice way in, I suppose. What were the first resources that you were using? Were there any special websites, blogs, maybe even magazines that you used to get started?
Yes. So I remember I was Googling probably how to install Backtrack. And back that time, I think the most popular or one of the most popular blogs that was out there around hacking was from Cody Nullbyte. He had a lot of content out there already back when I started, and he had a lot of tutorials, like step-by-step tutorials about Aircrack NG and stuff like this. And I was blown away that there is like step-by-step instructions on how to hack things. So because I thought it is much harder than that, and actually you just start following through those instructions and then you learn the commands and you start to recall those commands, and you start to think, wow, I can actually do that. And he made this very accessible, and he wrote his articles in a very beginner-friendly way, which was a thing that stuck with me also for my own content. And there were a couple of more sites back then. I think Blackmore Security or something like this was a bigger one too. And a bunch of other very shady sites where I regretted clicking on them most of the times because I wasn't sure if I got the rootkit or something afterwards. Yeah, but that's what got me started. And later, then I think the first book I bought was The Hacker's Playbook 2, and this was kind of where I got more into it because there were so many things I have never heard of. It was all like network penetration testing, so nothing about web or anything, or just like a minor part, I think. But most of it was really penetration testing, classical penetration testing, network testing, and stuff like this, hacking servers. And then I got started with basically creating my own lab and stuff like this. And I think the most noteworthy resource that I can mention, or two of the most noteworthy resources, is Nahum Sek's GitHub and or his beginner resources that are very well maintained, and the Cyber Mentors hacking bootcamp, or the first course that he put out on Udemy.
Mhm.
I still remember doing this, and like this course was by far the thing that has boosted my skills the most. Like, I would have never guessed that I would be able to do those things because he explained it so well. And after doing this course, I really felt capable of actually even applying for a job, and I learned a ton of stuff. There were not many courses out there at this time. I think at least none of the teachers really resonated with me. And after doing TCM's course, this was really like a game changer for me when it comes to my own skills. Yeah, I think that's it. And lots of blogs, of course, now, and YouTube, IPSEX videos and stuff like this. If we talk about now, there's so much content out there. Katie, Farah, they're all putting out great content. So now there is a plethora of content that you can consume.
Yeah, you're totally right. It's growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
If you look at this time frame, like from your early days you started up until now, where in that time frame did you first hear about the term bug bounty?
I guess that was in one of Sturck's videos. It must have been, because otherwise I wouldn't get stuck with it. And I think that was an entry point for many, because I never really was into web. I had no idea of web. It was this thing that is like so abstract to me, because I was doing a lot of like physical penetration testing at the time, like with networks and servers and Linux and stuff like this. But I never touched base with bug bounties. I never even heard the term until like 2 years ago. And I think I watched one of Sturck's videos and I thought, wow, like this really reminds me of this show that they were showing back in Hackers, in the movie, where those two guys having this weekly show, this underground show, where they show some hacking stuff. And it kind of had the same vibe, and he also resonated with me very much. So I thought, okay, that sounds interesting, bug bounties. And then I went into a very deep rabbit hole. I learned about Nahum Sek and all those bug bounty people. And yeah, that's the first time I heard about that, I think.
Got it. What was the first bug that you've submitted then? Did you end up actually digging into bug bounty and submitting a couple of vulnerabilities?
Yes, I have. I took it as a learning experience for myself. My intention was never to really make money with it, because I knew I'm not that good, and especially I just started with web at the time. So like 2 years ago, I really started from scratch when it comes to web hacking. I didn't even know what XSS is or how it works. Like, I knew the concept, but I didn't know how it works. And I did submit a couple of bugs, but of course they were dupes, which kind of counts for me because I took it as a game, and it showed me that I can
That's
actually find something.
Starts.
Yeah, of course. And I think it was like the first one was an IDOR and a couple of information disclosures, like easy stuff, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about your YouTube channel and social media in general. So you already mentioned that you're running a YouTube channel called CUSEC. Yeah. What are you mainly covering over there if you look at the bigger picture of your channel?
Yeah. So I think I started out with pfSense, with the pfSense firewall. And then it developed into basically when I did something new, what I haven't done before, I usually wound up writing an article about it, simply because I wanted to document stuff for myself in case I need to do that again later. If you set up like a Linux server or a FreeNAS server or stuff like this, and you have to pick your information from a bunch of different tutorials on the internet because a lot of them sucked or are incomplete. And then I took the effort and wrote that stuff. And then I thought, oh, okay, maybe I can do a video about that too. So that's how I started making videos. And then it evolved basically everything that I was interested in, I started making videos about. So it started with pfSense, then there was some Linux stuff. I made a whole video on my FreeNAS, how I set that up, a bunch of Linux servers like whatever, Grafana, and a couple of other things. And also then hacking videos. I did some walkthroughs for Over the Wire, for example. And I basically always did the stuff that I was interested in, which turns out, if you look at the bigger thing, is open source technology, Linux. Now also programming is a big part of it. And of course, hacking, bug bounties. I did a bunch of bug bounty series videos where I basically did a weekly video on what I have learned and stuff like this. So it's constantly evolving. Now I do basically everything that interests me, which is also productivity stuff. Since I'm a freelancer now, I try to cover that stuff too, because I found it very valuable. Or if I see anything that could be applied to bug bounties or to hacking, like some productivity methods that I learned, for example, mind mapping, I'll do a video about that too. So that's why I rebranded my YouTube channel's name from COSEC to my own name, that I can like cover a bigger spectrum of content and topics.
Okay. Yeah, that's a smart move over there. I was looking at your YouTube channel, and your most watched video title is "Install Kali Linux on Laptop, Full Step-by-Step Guide." So I have two questions, I guess, around that. First of all, why do you think this video is the most watched on your channel? And is Kali Linux still, or maybe not still, but your daily driver in hacking?
Yeah. So doing those Kali videos at the same time, it's my biggest success and the biggest mistake I ever did, because they're very popular. Because when I did the first video on how to install Kali Linux, I was looking to install Kali Linux myself in the very beginning after it came out from Backtrack. And it was so difficult to find a working tutorial. Like mostly you end up somewhere in the middle, and then they left out a step or something was different. And that really annoyed me. So I decided to make my own tutorials, because I wanted to enable people to be able to get into hacking easier, like to take this technical barrier away or make it less complicated, and really take it step by step, assuming the person you are teaching this to knows absolutely nothing about this.
Right.
And that's kind of the beginner mindset. So most of my videos are directed towards beginners. I like to enable people to get started with bounties, get started with hacking, and the same with Kali Linux. Apparently, it's very popular to use Kali Linux for hacking. So a lot of people want to install it, and they think they need Kali Linux to get started with hacking. But as we know, most of the actual hackers, they do not even use Kali Linux. They use something like Ubuntu, because it's just overblown with stuff that you don't even need. But it's very tempting for beginners to click through all of those GUIs and tools, you know. Mm-hmm. I still enjoy doing those videos, but I do not use Kali Linux anymore since since WSL2 came out on Windows. It got so good that you literally can do anything on WSL, and everybody who's a little bit more advanced is not using a GUI anyway, apart from Burp Suite.
Right.
So I'm only using a terminal. Either it's WSL2 or my VPS or something like this, but I'm not using any virtual machine. It's just like it's another layer that I don't need.
Quickly clarifying this for our watchers, by the way. WSL is standing for Windows Subsystem for Linux.
Yeah,
because we always get a lot of questions like, what has this person mentioned? But there you go.
Yeah. It's a little terminal thing that you can install, which is running on a virtual machine layer. So imagine you have a little terminal window in your taskbar, you click on it, and the virtual machine boots up in the background, and you just have a terminal, which is a separated system from your Windows system. Basically a virtual machine, but it's just a terminal, and it's very fast.
Right.
Yeah. So I mostly use this now.
Another question I had was around which topic. I mean, you cover this plethora of things on your channel.
Yeah.
Which of those topics do you receive the most questions about, either on YouTube or on Twitter or wherever you get your most questions?
Kali Linux.
Yeah? Okay.
Definitely Kali Linux is the first, because apparently still people mess their installations up. And mostly it's things like they try to install it in dual boot. That's the most popular thing, apparently, which I never understood, really. And they mess up their Windows installation and stuff like this. So they ask a ton of questions about that. Because in the end, every laptop, every hardware is different. And, sometimes it can work. Maybe there's a hardware failure or whatever, and it just mess up their system, and they have questions around that.
Right.
The second most questions, I would say, is pfSense, with VPNs and IPsec tunnels and like a little bit more complicated things and questions. And the third things are actually bug related questions. Like people ask me where they should report the bug, if they should report it to the website or if they should report it to a platform, and also how they can actually make a proof of concept or stuff like this. But this obviously is like very hard to answer and takes a full-time position to do that. So I mostly, if questions come up over and over again, and I see a pattern that a lot of people asking the same question, I try to make a piece of content around it that answers that question for a lot of people rather than answering them individually for everyone.
Right, and then you can just refer to this one particular video or blog post.
Yeah,
right?
That turned out to be very time-saving.
Yeah, I can imagine. Have you experienced any awkward situations with followers on YouTube, any kind of social media?
Well, if you mean awkward by opening your Twitter in the morning on your phone and seeing the Cyber Mentor in a Borat suit, I think that's ranking pretty high up there.
I was rather thinking of like weird comments or questions that people were sharing.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Like, I think the top thing is like, of course, can you hack my girlfriend's Facebook, Instagram, whatever? Can you recover a password? Stuff like this. And I think the most noteworthy thing was there was a guy writing a couple of years ago a very long story, which was very interesting to read. And he said he had a business with a partner of his. He was Russian. And then he went to prison in Russia for 5 years. And he just came out of prison. And his business partner, stole his WordPress website, and he wanted me to recover it for a substantial amount of money. That was really funny to read, but of course I didn't do it.
And it was probably a scam, I suppose.
It probably was a scam in the end too, yeah, sure.
Right. What has been the biggest surprise that has happened to you because of your YouTube and Twitter appearance?
For YouTube, there were not so many surprises because the rise in followers was kind of gradually, so you could follow it, and apart from comments, there was nothing really surprising for me.
Okay.
Except that if you watch your first videos and you compare it with your later videos, you can see improvement of quality and stuff like this, and you cringe about your earlier videos and stuff. I would say the biggest surprise was, and the best decision at the same time, was getting on Twitter and actually getting involved with the community. And I think I got triggered to do that after watching one of Live Overflow's videos where he said, where he was talking about the best resources to learn hacking. And I think one of those points was get on Twitter, get involved with the community. And he was absolutely right, because as soon as I got on Twitter, I got to know a lot of people. Like, I actually was able to have a conversation with people. I got to know all the hacking creators like Stuck, Nahamsek, Cyber Mentor, and I'm regularly talking to them. And we are like in a creator community there, and like a cybersecurity or hacking creator community. And it's very good to have an exchange with those people and just being involved with the community. And this was really, really, really a cool thing.
Right. Yeah, that's a great place to be in. Like, if you can have a direct link to all those people you might even be looking
Absolutely.
up to, right?
Absolutely. It's like your idols, and then all of a sudden they are talking and interacting with you, and eventually becoming friends too.
Blows your mind in the beginning.
Yeah, it was a profound experience, and I recommend it highly to anyone who's interested in getting involved in this field or in this community. Just get on Twitter and like start interacting with people in a positive way, of course.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always be friendly and
Always be
polite
friendly.
to the people.
Yep.
And I guess a good one is shoot your question immediately and don't say just hi. Like,
yeah, don't say hi. Don't say hi
Don't say
15
hi.
times and expect an answer. That's not how it's working.
yeah, put down your question straight away. That helps and saves time.
Absolutely.
Let's switch topics a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about crypto because you mentioned that you're into that.
Yeah.
What exactly is it that excites you so much about crypto?
There are a bunch of things. So I got involved with it in 2017 for the first time. That was the first bull run, so where crypto exploded for the first time, and everybody jumped on the bandwagon. Me too. I had no idea what I was doing. I just bought a bunch of coins, and I didn't really dive into it. And then it crashed in the beginning of 2018 pretty hard, and then I completely forgot about it. I just didn't want to watch my portfolio or didn't want to read anything about crypto. And then in the end of 2020, it started to happen again. And I already created some crypto content in 2017 on my CEOSEC blog, but I thought it's kind of, at this time, it was more like I felt like I'm doing something scammy, even I didn't do it. Like I just provided tutorials on, let's say, how to transfer a currency to a ledger, to a hardware wallet. And I put the affiliate link in there. Of course, that's how we earn money. But I didn't want to mix it up with my regular content somehow. I just felt it was not the right place. And once I started doing that, I got a lot of weird emails for collaborations for some cryptocurrency casinos and stuff like that. And I said, no, I don't want to have anything to do with that shit. So I forget about it. And then end of 2020, it started to happen again. Prices rise up again, and we all know what happened. And then I thought, okay, I want to create cryptocurrency content, but I want to do it on a separate platform, on a separate blog to keep things separated, and then people can choose what they want to consume. And that required me to dive deeper into the topic because I wanted to do some informational videos, some cryptocurrency news. I wanted to talk about certain cryptocurrencies, and I wanted to know what I'm talking about. And the more I got interested in that, basically, the more things I discovered that are very, very interesting and promising. Things like the Ethereum blockchain in general. Some people are comparing it with the IP protocol back in the day, that one day there will be so many things running on that blockchain that it will be basically the next evolution in networking and stuff like this. So I found this to be really, really interesting, as well as certain projects like Cardano, who is providing a educational blockchain. They have a deal with the Ethiopian government, and what they do is the grades for the students are stored on the blockchain. They have a student ID, and it's basically very hard to counterfeit this and to basically change your grades, because this was a big problem there, that they always scammed their grades. Basically, they changed their grades, and there was a lot of shit going on there. So things like this, projects like this, where countries are adopting this technology because it's pretty safe, pretty secure, pretty hard to hack. So yeah, I'm just generally interested where that's going.
Speaking of hacking crypto, though, do you see more and more people trying to hack it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't they? Right? There's a lot of money to be made, and there has a lot of money been made already with hacking basically crypto and exchanges and stuff like this. So I definitely see that rising.
Can you give us an example of like the biggest crypto hack that has happened, or one of those in the past?
Yeah, I think the biggest must have been, I think it was Mt. Gox. Probably rings a bell for you also.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't remember when it was. I think it took part gradually over 2011 till 2014 or something. And at the time, I think they hacked or stole around 700,000 to 800,000 Bitcoin, which at the time was around 500 million worth. Now it would be astronomical wealth.
Yeah, times
Um,
36,000 or something like that. I
yeah,
think what it is right now. That's
yeah.
crazy.
That's crazy, yeah. And they also stole a bunch of customer data, credit card details, and stuff like this. So it was a major disaster. And of course, every time that happens, it takes crypto another step away from overall adoption, right? Because
Yeah.
it's still such a scammy topic in that regard that a lot of people think it's just a scam. And there were a bunch of other, like, mostly exchanges that have been hacked, and a lot of money has been stolen. I think this was not even the largest when it comes to money. I think the largest was Coincheck with 550 million in 2018 or something like this. So there were a bunch of them. So lots of money has been hacked and stolen because insecure exchanges mostly,
Right.
or phishing, obviously phishing for credentials for wallets and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I definitely see that number rising. It's harder, I think, to hack crypto because the technology is so hard to understand. But the interest is definitely there.
Yeah, the people who do understand it, though, they have less competition. So
Yes.
I guess a lot of people are actually focusing on that. Do I want to once again quickly talk about another point that you've mentioned in the beginning, which is freelancing. You
Yeah.
were saying you're a freelancer, and I think you've been doing this for quite a while right now. Can
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit what made you go this way to become a full-time freelancer?
Yeah, there were a bunch of reasons. Like, I thought about going independent or as a freelancer many times before. I had quit my job many times before, and I had a couple of ideas on how to make it work. I think the first time I did that, I wanted to create basically a travel service where you can book and plan individual backpacking trips. So I think the name was Plan Your Trip with Us or something like this, which I wanted to do. Um, but as always, everything comes different. I wound up becoming a freelance photographer instead. Um, and I had a couple of occasions where I had contact with being a freelancer for some time, but then I wound up ending up in a job again because I just didn't earn enough money. Main reason why I wanted to do that is to be independent, and I think you understand as I know you, to be able to work from wherever you want, right? And not be dependent on one location. You can travel, you can still work. So this was always a major goal. And also, I never did very well with rules, and especially stupid rules in companies. And also the concept of sitting in an office for 8 hours, and mostly 5 of the hours you have nothing to do and you just are there to fill your hours. I never understood that, and I never wanted to take part in it. So ultimately, I decided to go freelance in December of 2020 because I built up on it in the previous like 5-6 years with this channel, with my blog, and I got the income over the years to a point where I can live from it. It's not nowhere where I want to have it, and yeah,
But at
that's
least you
basically that.
have a lot of room to grow.
Yeah.
That's nice though. Like I really like the idea behind freelancing. Can
Mhm.
you tell us like one or two of the key challenges if it comes to freelancing? What's like the first two
Oh my
things
god.
that come to your mind?
Um, Finances and tax is a big thing for sure, because many people, they figure out how to create content, they get money from different income streams, and I think it a little bit depends where you live. Here where I'm located in Germany, it's a nightmare to do taxes when you have income streams from different countries. And so you need a tax consultant, and if you are bad with numbers like me or bad with math in general, it's a absolute nightmare to do finances. And I just winged it over the past couple of years. Like, I always did my taxes, of course, but it was always a struggle where I sat down for a week or two at a time and just did the taxes for the whole year. And then later you start to figure out how to manage those things better. You do it once a month, and you put a system in place where you just need to enter the numbers, and it's always going to stay the same. So this is the biggest challenge, I think, alongside with being organized and also being committed to what you're doing. Like if it's not fun to you what you're doing as a freelancer, then it doesn't make much sense, because it's really hard to push yourself to do something what you don't like to do. And also a lot of people are not able to organize themselves in a way where it's like sustainable.
Right.
I think, yeah.
A lot of people actually need a boss behind them who says do A,
They
B,
do.
C, right?
Yeah.
What are the biggest benefits then, or the one biggest benefit of freelancing?
For me personally, I can structure my day how I want. That's one of the biggest advantages. At the same time, it's one of the biggest problems and challenges, because you can put a lot of free time in your days, right? And then you end up not getting anything done. So, but on the other hand, it's good that you can structure your day as you like. If you figure out you like to do your sport or your exercise around midday better than in the morning, you're just going to do it that way.
Right.
If you want to take a nap at 11 o'clock in the morning, you can do that. You can do whatever you want, basically. And I'm able to travel. I don't need to ask anyone for permission if I can go somewhere. And ultimately, I have more time with my family because I'm working from home. So yeah, for me, it's only advantages. The only really disadvantage, in my opinion, from my point of view, is that you have to do all this financial stuff yourself, which is really difficult, rather than just getting paid from somebody and everything is taken care of, like insurance and all this kind of stuff.
Are there any specific character traits, in your opinion, that somebody should have in order to start freelancing?
Yeah, like as I said before, you need to be able to do something on your own. If you are a person who needs to be told to do a thing, to do it, then it's not the right thing for you at all. And there are a lot of people out there who have this mindset. And you also need to have the drive to do something, and you need to be passionate about a thing that you actually want to do, because if you're not really passionate or not even interested in the thing and you just do it out of the reason to make money, I think as a freelancer it's very, very hard to do, because you will lose interest and you will think about going to a job again. So I think you need to have a good amount of interest in the topic you want to do as a freelancer.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Stefan, I want to ask you a couple of would you rather questions right now. So those are fun and maybe not so fun questions. I let the audience decide. Let us know in the description, by the way, if they're fun to you or not. But are you ready for those?
Sure.
All right, let's start with the first one. Would you rather choose to hack on a Bug Bunny program of a pharmacy or of an outdoor gear company?
Pharmacy. No. Yeah, pharmacy, I think.
Yeah? Can you explain why?
No, actually, when I think about it, it's probably the outdoor store, because I don't want to help the pharmacy.
You don't want to help the pharmacy?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the outdoor thing.
Yeah, they only sell drugs, right?
Yeah. And it depends where the pharmacy is. They're criminals, in my opinion.
All right, up to the next one. Would you rather freelance from home or from a paradise island if you can only choose one of them? You cannot mix them up.
Do I have a house on the paradise island?
I guess you would
have
to
to
build
to
it.
hack from the beach?
I guess you would have to build it first, but you would
definitely paradise island. If I have fast Wi-Fi, yes.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest
sure.
issue, right? On a paradise island in the middle of the Atlantic or something like that. I have no idea.
Starlink.
Starlink.
It's gonna work.
The next one. Would you rather record a video titled "Installing Kali Linux on a Nintendo Switch" or "Installing Kali Linux on a PlayStation"?
PlayStation. I have no idea about the Nintendo Switch. I never had one, but I have a PlayStation. And I think it's gonna be equally hard.
and the hardware, I guess, is more powerful on a PlayStation, isn't it?
I guess so, yeah. If we talk PlayStation 5, it's probably a lot faster than the Nintendo.
The Switch. So once you get it to run, you can actually do something productive with it.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there is an idea right for you. It's a gift from my end to you to record a video on that. Right, the next one. Would you rather collaborate on a video with Angela Merkel or with the entire band of Rammstein?
Rammstein.
Yeah? Like 5 or 6 of them? I don't know how many they are, but...
Me neither.
They're probably,
I'm not a fan, but I don't see myself doing a video with Angela.
they'll probably crash your video on something important with a song of theirs, which would be pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, I have one more for you. Would you rather invest all your money in Dogecoin or in NFTs?
NFTs, no. No. None of them, really. If I have to choose, probably I choose Doge. I choose Doge. Like, I see NFTs probably will have their space somewhere in some regard, but I think it's also very overhyped. I mean, Dogecoin too, but there are so many people in there now that I see it as a more stable investment than NFTs as of this moment. And I would have never thought I would ever say that. No financial advice.
People will cut those 10 seconds out right now and we'll use it somewhere. Stefan said Dogecoin.
I don't use Doge. I don't have Dogecoin, any.
All right. Just a little disclaimer here.
Disclaimer, yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Stefan. Let's wrap up this interview. Do you have anything left you want to share with our watchers, with our audience, or any shout outs to any people?
Yeah, why not? Shout outs to all our hacking content creator community, Sturk, Nahamsec, Cyber Mentor, of course, Integrity, and general the community. And I think final words would be nice to each other, be respectful with each other. It's the most important thing. Being nice is hard, being an asshole is easy. And stay curious, I think.
Those are really lovely and nice words to conclude this interview. Thank you very much, Stefan, for
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon, hopefully in like real life. And
yes,
until then, let's stay in touch online.
Thank you very much.
Thank you once again, Stefan, for sharing all those amazing insights with us today. And in our next episode, we're going to have Donut with us. And no, I'm not speaking of the round-shaped thing that we all like to eat. I'm speaking of Nathaniel Latimer. And he's one of the best bug bounty hunters in the world. So definitely check this out and get yourself some bug bounty tips in there. And right now, please go down to the comment section and let us know who you want to see on one of our next episodes. And with that, subscribe right here in the top right corner, leave a like, and I will talk to you folks soon.